topic today comes from Avenue 8, The Landscape. It's an email that comes out every month. We encourage you to sign up for it. Really good content. So we're going to go through some of that. We're also going to go through our seller wins and buyer wins based on solds in the last 7 days. And then we'll follow up then with Darren's picks for actives that are interesting from the last 7 days that buyers should be paying attention to. And I guess sellers too, right? We all need to pay attention. Okay, so let me go ahead and bring up Darren. Oh, and one thing, it's on the email that you may have received, our own email at Urban Hillsides, but we do have an open house coming up this Sunday, don't we, Darren? Do you want to talk about that while I find our topic here?
Sure. It's a beautiful duplex with, it could just be rented as units, which will generate very nice income, both delivered vacant, or it would be a very nice owner-occupant opportunity to start in the 3-bedroom, to start in the 2-bedroom, to expand the 3-car garage into an ADU, and just to hang out in the amazing backyard as often as possible with the nice grotto to cool you off in this hot heat. Yeah. So it's a great property. We look forward to seeing people at the open house this weekend.
All right. So that is Sunday, 2 to 5, and that is September 11th. So yeah, please check it out. We'd love to see you guys. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share another screen, and we will go off to the landscape from Avenue 8. So, Darren, I'm glad you're always picking up on this with the landscape. I don't know if I'm getting it in my email, but I'm glad you keep getting it. This is the topic, second homes first. So let me go ahead and read it a bit, and we'll discuss, because it certainly looks like it's a trend. It's a trend that we've seen.
It's a trend that we identified for sure.
Yeah. So, all right, this comes titled The Big Shift, Second Homes First, starting with dessert. As the housing market continues to contend with shifting consumer behaviors around how to live in a post-pandemic world, a combination of inflation, price appreciation, and inventory scarcity has persuaded some would-be buyers in urban areas to remain renters, with primary homes becoming out of reach for many first-time buyers in cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. The relative value found in suburban and rural markets makes it more compelling for some to buy their second home first. Continued work-from-home flexibility is fueling this trend, and the affordability contrast between living in and out of the city is stark. The result, rental market dynamics are becoming increasingly competitive in many cities, with long lines for showings, offers over asking, and other behaviors that mirror 2021 purchase market conditions. With home ownership functioning as a valuable inflationary hedge, expect to see this trend continue, particularly as more companies such as Picasso and Summer emerge to facilitate the consumer journey into second home ownership. Why don't you go ahead and comment on that a little bit? And I'll follow up with some stuff.
I will say they stated something there that we haven't said ourselves, and I haven't heard in language for a long time, and that is, the hedge against inflation with home ownership. It's just, in this inflationary environment, it's just the flat out truth. The values of homes will tend to rise, which was what fueled much of the increases, as many expected in inflationary environment. So that continues. Right. But buying a second home first, gosh, Joe, I think a friend of yours was the first time where I ever acknowledged that was happening. And I was kind of surprised. And I'm like,
oh, was that Idlewild? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm like, I never would have thought of that. It seems.
Well, I remember, I don't want to be a pioneer, but I remember, when we were so desperate, my wife and I, to find a home, we looked as far as Bermuda Dunes, past Palm Springs.
Yeah. You talked about it too.
trying to
We
figure
did.
it out. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy, but yeah.
So, I mean, there are options, right? And what happens to these second home areas? Maybe they
Hmm.
become a primary home. Maybe you move to them.
Right.
Maybe they don't. Maybe they're always a second home, and Airbnb and short-term rentals creates a good opportunity if it's going to be, only used part-time.
Right.
I will say with that, be very aware of the
Mm.
restrictions that come with short-term rentals because they continue to evolve,
Yeah.
and each community has their own standards that continue to evolve, and in most cases become more and more strict. They're
Yeah.
not trying to encourage more of this scenario, because in essence, for those who it actually is a second home, not a primary, it's raising the prices of the
Right.
properties in these communities, and it's
Right.
hurting the residents who live locally.
Well, it's a really good point you make. Just to click on some of these links. So here it's talking about the relative value of suburban and rural places, and they've got an example here: frustrated buyers in the Bay Area housing market buying second homes first. And this actually takes you down the path of a Bay Area real estate agent who can't afford his own market that he's selling in, and he went and bought a place in Nevada, Las Vegas.
Right. And
Um,
that's a distance.
yeah,
That's not like a weekend getaway, or that's like thinking way out into the future, or just trying to buy an investment, period,
yeah,
in
yeah,
real estate as a
yeah,
hedge.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the other, let's see here, the other one that they picked out. Let's see here. Oh, bear with. Oh, here we go. Was Picasso and Summer. So Picasso, I think we've talked about them before, but started by a Zillow co-founder, and just like you said, they've run into local headwinds
Yeah.
about these partial share homes that they're trying to isolate in these vacation markets, and locals are not happy about it. Summer was interesting. I hadn't heard of Summer, but I'm going to click on it. And similar idea. It's basically buying shares in one home. Maybe it's
Oh,
three or four different owners. But here, I'll just show you.
it's a version of timeshare.
Yeah, exactly. But vacation homes. So, for
Yeah.
instance, I'll go here, McDougal Cabin. I think this is in upstate New York, and they give you two options as an investor. Very nice, 16 acres, a whopping $400,000 total. But you can try or you can buy. So if you see here, Summer purchases the home for you. You have the right to buy at any point for up to 3 years. And as an example here, 39,500 initial payment, refundable, 1,080 monthly subscription, and you get approximately 40 days of homeowner usage. So you got that. And then buy with Summer. You purchase the home while Summer fully furnishes the home and manages it for you. 75 to 85K in revenue per year before their fees. And then you get approximately 40 days of homeowner usage. So I just kind of discovered this real quick, but I thought it was kind of novel and interesting uh, as far as
Gosh,
home ownership.
they're covering a lot of angles there, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is. If there are multiple owners,
Hmm.
it's the uh, original version of tenants in common. It's
Mm,
really a series of owners that have a defined use,
right.
but it's all one title, not even separate spaces.
Right. And
Um,
then that sort of coverage contract or agreement between those owners about what's theirs, like
right.
TIC.
I mean, as long as they're structuring it that way, I don't know how Summer stays involved and or continues to manage it to generate
Yeah.
income, or how they deal with the
Yeah.
scheduling. But basically, it's a timeshare. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a lot of variations on how that works.
Yeah.
But it's a timeshare with a single destination. Gosh, I feel like if I was going to buy a timeshare, I'd
Yeah.
rather buy a timeshare and be able to go to multiple locations.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they're trying to figure that out now too.
Yeah,
That's-
right. So, all right.
So, the rest of this, again, we won't get too deep, but it talks about unpacking the Inflation Reduction Act, what it means for real estate, highlights our new tax credits that incentivize the construction of and upgrades to buildings to become more energy efficient through the use of specific materials and technologies, particularly for multifamily and commercial markets, extension of existing tax policies that limit deductions of pass-through losses, as well as continued exemptions for real estate investment trusts and S corporations. And then they put kind of a happier point on it. Let's see, what does it say here? With 51% of student loan holders indicating their debt hinders their ability to purchase a home, perhaps this deleveraging will unlock purchasing opportunities for at least some first-time buyers. I don't know where, but right, what is it, $10,000? It all helps.
Yeah, 20 in some cases.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the monthly payments on student loans go on forever, but they're a small percentage unless you're trying to pay them down more aggressively. Although, look, we had a client last year who said, who was relying on it, who kept thinking about this and said this was super important before they purchased. Unfortunately, prices have gone up 20% since then, so I don't know how much this is impacting their ability to move forward with a purchase. But I mean, I got to say, just personally, freeing up and often it's perception, but freeing up those that are hopefully more educated in our society to do more things and not feel more burdened, I think is a huge plus. So I'm glad that they did it.
And just some talking points around some of these stories that the landscape is bringing up. 3,930 average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in New York City, the highest in the nation. Wow, how are they affording that second home? They must be making good money. 550,000. That's increase in the number of U.S. realtors in the last decade, equivalent to a 50% increase. Wow.
Well, I guarantee you, with the slowing market, that those numbers are fading. Just lesser volume means fewer realtors are closing transactions, and they just have to go on to another job. But there are plenty of other jobs out there if they're not closing consistently.
Well, I have to say, this is just an observation. So this was a friend of a friend who I think just recently got their license, and my wife brought her up. Oh, look, and look on Instagram. And there's several games here, right? It's like, and I know we can feel this sometimes, but it's like, who's the most popular kid in high school? And I think her Instagram game is really spot on. I don't know if we always play that game that well, but it was all about me, and I'm just like, God, that's not us. We can't do that,
Sales is a popularity game.
It is.
I think you and I get more frustrated than anything when it's less about quality and knowledge and research. And it's like, oh, you just said it. That's a popularity contest and you're not happy about it. But it's what it is. So just social connections. If people often do not know the right questions to ask or understand good from bad service. So they just go with who they're close with or who they feel connected with or comfortable with.
So anyway, some more numbers here. 45% proportion of 48.2 million rental units owned by for-profit corporations. And then negative 8.1% national housing starts relative to 1 year ago in response to rising rates and inflation.
So that 45%, what was that, Joe? I can't quite read that.
That was proportion of 48.2 million rental units owned by for-profit organizations.
So I want to say this.
So 24 million are owned.
Right.
I
want to say this to the city of Los Angeles, who I think has horrible policies. 55% are not owned by corporations. They're owned by individuals who have planned on making that their retirement in an environment that was completely acceptable
Yeah.
And that's kind of been stripped away from those people in this environment right now.
That's a really good point. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the other number that should be there.
I'm all for support, but let it be equally distributed, not isolated to one group.
Yep. A little graph here. Homes sat on market for slightly longer during the summer, but continued to sell quickly in expensive markets. So here they're looking at LA County and San Francisco Bay Area, and you can see kind of June on 22 days on market have risen closer to 20 days now.
Right. And we're feeling that with listing we have. It's just been so long that it happens fast that you're kind of like, wait, what's wrong? And the sharks start setting in early. So it's an adjustment for everyone.
Next graph here, home prices have not been tampered by rate hikes this year and continue to rise nationally. Home prices versus mortgage rates. So the green being conventional mortgage rate, 30-year, and then the beige there, median home price. Right. Home price is still up. So anyway, guys, check this out. If you go to Avenue 8, the website, avenue8.com, right there, stay in the know. You can enter email to subscribe.
So short and concise. That's what I love about this.
Yeah.
You can read the whole thing in its entirety in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And get a lot of good information.
Yeah. Really good point.